Next along, from a variety of laptops around the country, we're delighted to welcome Dr Andrew Wormald from the University of Limerick and Dementia Research Advisory Team member Kevin Quaid. They've been working together on a study concerning dementia and loneliness. And their chat is going to be facilitated by Michael Foley from PPI Ignite Trinity College.
Hi everybody, I'm Michael from PPI Ignite. I've had the great good fortune of doing some work with the Alzheimer Society PPI group at the very start, and then I've been involved in other smaller activities with them. And it was funny that when Carmel was talking about being really angry, I suppose any experience I've had with Carmel has always been very positive and energetic. So if we can learn anything from Johnny Rotten, anger is an energy, but there's always a lot of energy around the PPI activities, and I've always really come away really energized by what I've experienced in terms of the PPI. And we will see an example of that now with Kevin Quaid, who is on the Dementia Research Advisory Team Committee, and Dr Andrew Wormald, who's down in the University of Limerick, who has been working with Kevin on a project where they've been working as co-researchers in order to explore loneliness and dementia. So Andrew, if I could ask you to tell us a little bit about the study and how it developed.
Okay, good morning, Michael. Glad to see you this morning. Good morning, everybody. So the study that we proposed came about because of the IRC grant funding call, which was out in November last year. And the Alzheimer Society of Ireland put out a notice saying they wanted somebody to do an intervention with loneliness in people with dementia. So I had an intervention in mind. So I approached the Alzheimer Society and said, is this any good? And they said, speak to Kevin. And so with trepidation, I went to speak to Kevin because as soon as you look up Kevin Quaid on the internet, you see this all-encompassing, well-published man who writes regularly about dementia. So I was quite intimidated at this point to meet Kevin and give him and basically sell my idea to him and see if we could interact and come together on this. So we met before the proposal was ever put in, and Kevin put in some great insights into it, and luckily he liked what I was doing and we got on well, so we have a great personal relationship. And so we developed together this idea of an intervention that's based on person-centered planning so that you focus on somebody's life and where they see their life as being deficient, and try and get them to encourage them to set that to right a bit.
Great. So Kevin, can I ask you, what's it like to be so intimidating?
The first thing about it was, and we laughed over this, both of us felt the very same, because when I was asked to get involved in research, it was like Louis by dementia. All I had was dementia, but all I had from Andrew's name was doctor. And I went in thinking, how am I going to be of use to a doctor in a university for research? I thought the only time that I'd be useful to a doctor in university and research would be when I'd be a slab in a corpse and they were examining what was left of my brain from Lewy body dementia. And at the very first meeting with Andrew, he just made me feel so at ease. And as he said, we have become good friends, and every call we ever made actually was a Zoom call. We never did a phone call. And when he said to me that he was wanted to list me as co-principal investigator, I just went, wow. It was one of the wow moments of my life, that a person with Lewy body dementia would be thought so highly of. And right there and then, at that very moment, I knew and I realized that the PPI and the research, it wasn't all about box ticking and saying the right thing and saying the nice thing and making people happy by saying the nice thing. That was talking the talk. They were actually walking the walk. And when Andrew explained to me what the research program was about, I really knew, or I thought, that I could be of help. And it made me feel so relaxed, and like we just kept bouncing ideas off of one another. And it was a partnership. It was a genuine partnership it was real by name and real by nature.
Because I suppose Anne had said there at the start, she said it's not just about being in the room, it's about being a player in the research. Did you, before you started getting involved in this, did you feel that the invitation from Andrew would make you a player, or was it something that developed through the relationship?
I had an absolute clue what I was getting into. Right, this is a forum, to be honest. I hadn't a clue what I was getting into. The only thing was that it was Laura O Philbin who suggested it, and I've done some work with Laura, and over the last number of years I've got to know Laura, and she, like everyone else in the Alzheimer Society of Ireland, I can trust them literally with my life, so I knew Laura wouldn't be putting me into anything that she didn't think I could handle or that I wouldn't be able for. And oh my God, have I enjoyed it. And I'm amazed that the input that I was able to put into it, I was amazed at how valuable my input seems to have been. And as a person living with Lewy body dementia, having dementia has very, very, very few upsides. But this was one of them, because if I was a normal person with a normal brain, I would never, ever be co-principal investigator in any research. So it's one of the very few pluses, but a major plus. Plus getting to know and work with Andrew, like it's a friendship have developed as well. So there's a lot of little side streets off of this main street, if you like.
And I suppose that's one of the things, certainly when Carmel had mentioned about the work we had done about preparing people for getting involved in PPI, the really fundamental thing was always about the relationship and about, you know, what the nature of the relationship would be. And it's not that every single PPI relationship is the same. They're all as individual as each other, but it really provides an energy to drive activity and to build trust, I think, with people. Is that kind of, has that been your experience?
It has, yeah. And I think where my, like Sean said it earlier on, where my experience, we're not, what's the word, experts in too many things, but I am an expert in living with Lewy body dementia. And I think where having the person with dementia involved really came into play in this project was, we had volunteers who were going talking to people with dementia, and a lot of them were terrified to speak to people with dementia because they just didn't know what to expect. So we came up with the idea, why not have a kind of a dress rehearsal with me? Because they had seen me on the Zoom meetings, they had me talking, so they rang me. And like, all I said to them was, when you pick up the phone, right, we had a list of questions, you know, that you would ask. But said, just have a normal conversation. And their attitude was a kind of, oh, okay, right, so you can have a normal conversation with a person with dementia.
Yeah.
And that's the power of having the person with dementia with you. I think it was Helen Ratford Brennan once said it, we don't want to just answer the questions, we want to write the questions, and she was so right. But Andrew gave me a belief in myself, he gave me a platform, he gave me a forum, but most of all, he didn't just say I was co-principal investigator, he made me feel that way, and that's how strong this partnership has been.
Great. And Andrew, can I ask you a little bit about the kind of effect that it has had from a researcher's perspective, the kind of effect that it's had to have Kevin so involved in it as a project?
Oh, well, Kevin's had a massive effect on the project. I mean, you can see by Kevin's personality for a start, but beyond that, it's Kevin's experience, his knowledge. And somebody asked me what Kevin actually contributed to the project, so I just wrote down a few things. And what Kevin gave me support for a start. He gave me validation of my ideas. He brings energy to the project, and having, you know, I was worried he took a big responsibility off my shoulders. Kevin, having somebody there with that knowledge, he brings openness, I say knowledge, experience, enthusiasm, positivity, humility, ideas, and fun. So Kevin really brings a lot to him. And it's not only Kevin. I've worked on other PPI projects. I was trained in research methods by the great Mary McCarran over at Trinity there with you. And so this was the natural way to do research to me, was to involve the people that are asking the questions, get their experience and see what is important to that group of people.
One of the things that we talk about in work is that idea that sometimes when people aren't familiar with PPI, they imagine it to be like a committee that is going to evaluate them, that's going to criticize them and critique them. And that I think what you're bringing out there is that idea that a PPI committee doesn't have to be that way. A PPI committee can be supportive and can be energetic and can be enthusiastic. And I think a lot of researchers, they face an awful lot of people who are telling them what they're doing wrong. And I think a PPI committee or a PPI group or a PPI contributor or a co-investigator like Kevin is, can actually encourage you and say, okay, right, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can get over this hurdle. Let's see how we can sort that. So I think that's a really positive thing I've found in terms of hearing you talking about that relationship. Now, I know the answer to this already, but has there been any downsides to this?
None that I can come up with anyway.
Okay, because it's just worth asking, because
there has for me been a big downside to it. In all the players I've got to get a bigger shot. My head is swelling somewhere.
I think it's worth just acknowledging that. I mean, not every PPI relationship, I think it goes wonderfully well all of the time. But I think what it is worthwhile recognizing is that actually yours has been pretty much universally positive. So and I'm just conscious of time. Just to finish up, I suppose, what advice would you each give to a researcher or a PPI contributor who would be interested in embarking on a similar relationship?
Well, I would say to the researcher, acknowledge you know how to research, but you don't have that internal experience of whatever the group is you are researching with, and you do not know what is important to them. Okay, great. And Kevin, from your point of view?
Yeah, for me, every meeting I had with Andrew, not one of them was a token meeting. I was listened to. Not every idea I had was a good idea, and that's never going to be the case. But you know, if you're doing research with someone, either you have to give and get the respect you deserve, and you know, don't treat it like, well, I have this person on board now, they have dementia, box ticked. No, it's not. You know, if you're serious about it, do it the right way, because we have got fantastic, because we work so well together, we have got fantastic results. And not only that, but we are looking at the next step and how to move it forward and the step after that. And you know, that to me is a massive success. And I've a lot more got out of this than I'll ever give. But down the road, hopefully, from the two of us, there will other people with dementia benefit from it. And like, that is the ultimate goal, isn't it? You know, I mean, you keep plugging away, It's like the ASI yesterday, and our CEO, the fabulous work that man has just kept plugging. And finally we got there. And it's Andrew and me have done the same thing over the last number of months, and we're going to keep going.
Brilliant. I, as you both know, I could talk to you for the rest of the day about what you've achieved and the kind of energy that's there within that relationship. But I'd just like to say thanks very much to both of you for that. And I'll hand you back to Kira.